Mark Thompson's heart skipped a beat as he stepped into the bathroom, the morning sun slicing through the blinds. A faint glint on the tiled floor caught his eye like a beacon in the quiet Seattle dawn. Barefoot, he crouched cautiously, wary of stepping on something sharp. His fingers brushed a small, circular piece of foil nearly invisible against the cream tiles. He turned it over, his pulse quickening. It was the backing from a birth control pill, the kind left behind when a tablet is popped out. A tiny M marked it Monday. Today was Tuesday, May 2nd, 2025. Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer, felt a chill creep up his spine. He and his wife, Laura, had been married for 10 years, their life a well-oiled machine of love and routine. Their kids, Emma, 6, and Noah, 3, filled their modest Capitol Hill home with laughter. But after Noah's birth, Mark had a vasectomy, a decision they'd made together to cap their perfect family. Laura, a 34-year-old marketing manager, had stopped taking birth control then, citing her healthy cycles and lack of need. So why was this foil here? He stood, clutching the foil, his mind racing. Laura hadn't mentioned dropping anything. Could it be old, forgotten from years ago? Unlikely. Their bathroom was spotless, thanks to Laura's meticulous cleaning. Mark's engineering brain kicked in, analyzing possibilities. A friend's visit? A mistake? But the M for Monday nodded him. It felt fresh, deliberate. His stomach churned as a darker thought emerged, infidelity. Laura, with her warm smile and fierce ambition, cheating? It seemed impossible. Yet the foil was real, undeniable. Mark slipped the foil into his pocket and glanced at the clock. 7:15 a.m. Laura was in the kitchen, packing Emma's lunch. He patted downstairs, forcing a neutral expression. Laura, her auburn hair tied in a messy bun, hummed softly, slicing apples. "Morning, babe," she said, flashing a grin. "Coffee's ready." "Thanks," Mark mumbled, pouring a cup. Her normalcy felt like a mask now. He studied her, slim, confident, the same woman he'd met at a tech conference a decade ago. They'd built a life together, from late-night coding sessions to diaper changes. Could she betray him? He recalled their last health checkups, both clear, no secrets. But the foil whispered doubt. "Everything okay?" Laura asked, her green eyes narrowing slightly. "Yeah, just tired," Mark lied, sipping his coffee. He needed answers, not confrontation. Accusing her now would tip her off, and if she was hiding something, she'd cover her tracks. He kissed her forehead, grabbed his laptop bag, and headed to his startup's office downtown, his mind already plotting. At his desk, surrounded by monitors and post-it notes, Mark's focus wavered. His company, a rising star in AI-driven logistics, demanded his attention, but the foil consumed him. He opened a private browser and ordered a DNA test kit to confirm Emma and Noah's paternity, a precaution, he told himself. Next, he purchased discreet cameras and audio recorders for their home and Laura's car. If she was unfaithful, he'd find proof. If not, he'd clear his conscience. By noon, his assistant, Sarah, knocked. A 32-year-old with sharp wit and a knack for organization, Sarah had been his right hand for years. "You look like you saw a ghost," she said, setting down a sandwich. "Spill." Mark hesitated. Sarah was trustworthy, but this was personal. Still, her no-nonsense demeanor was a lifeline. "Found something weird at home," he admitted, keeping it vague. "Need to sort it out." She raised an eyebrow but didn't pry. "If you need me, I'm here." Her loyalty steadied him. He nodded, returning to his plan. That evening, Mark installed the first camera in the living room, hidden in a bookshelf. Laura was at a work event and the kids were with a sitter. He synced the device to his phone, testing the feed. Clear. He added another in the hallway, then slipped a recorder under the driver's seat of Laura's SUV. Each step felt like a betrayal of their trust, but the foil justified it. He couldn't unsee it. Back home, Laura returned, smelling faintly of wine. "Long day," she sighed, kicking off her heels. "How's my favorite coder?" "Same old," Mark said, forcing a smile. They ate takeout, watched Emma draw, and tucked Noah in. Normal, yet suffocating. In bed, Laura scrolled her phone, oblivious to Mark's turmoil. He lay awake, the foil burning a hole in his pocket. The next morning, while Laura showered, Mark took a risk. Her phone, left on the nightstand, was unlocked, a rare lapse. He downloaded a cloning app mirroring her texts and emails to a spare device. Heart pounding, he finished just as the shower stopped. Laura emerged, towel-wrapped, and kissed him. "Love you," she said. "Love you too," he replied, guilt and suspicion warring inside him. The cloned phone showed nothing unusual, work emails, mom group chats. But Mark wasn't convinced. If Laura was hiding something, she was good at it. Days later, a package arrived at his office, the DNA kits and more surveillance gear. Sarah raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Mark swabbed Emma and Noah's cheeks during bedtime, his hands trembling. He mailed the samples, dreading the results. That night, he checked the camera feeds. Nothing. Laura cooked, played with the kids, worked late. Normal. Too normal. Then, a breakthrough. While cooking dinner, Mark left a camera running in their bedroom. Later, reviewing the footage, he froze. Laura, thinking he was distracted, pulled a hidden phone from the bedroom vent. She typed furiously, her face tense, then hit it again. Mark's blood ran cold. A second phone? His hands shook as he cloned it that night, Laura asleep beside him. The clone data was a gut punch. Texts to an unnamed contact detailed meetups, missed you at the hotel. Same time next week. Another, he suspects nothing. We're safe. Mark's vision blurred with tears. Laura was cheating. But with who? And why the pills? The betrayal cut deeper than he'd imagined, but he needed more proof, not just pain. Mark confided in Sarah, showing her the texts. Her jaw tightened. You need a lawyer, Mark. Now. She connected him with Rachel, a divorce attorney with a reputation for winning tough cases. Rachel listened, her eyes sharp. We'll build a case, she said. But we need concrete evidence. Keep digging. Mark nodded, resolve hardening. The foil had sparked suspicion, but the second phone confirmed betrayal. Laura's lies were unraveling, and he'd exposed them all. As he left Rachel's office, a new text popped up on the cloned phone. David's wife is asking questions. Be careful. David. Laura's boss. The pieces clicked and Mark's anger flared. This wasn't just personal, it was a war. And he'd win. Mark Thompson's world hung by a thread, the clone texts from Laura's secret phone burning into his mind. David's wife is asking questions. Be careful. David Carter, Laura's boss, was the shadow behind her betrayal. Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer in Seattle, sat in his office on May 6, 2025, his coffee cold, his heart colder. The foil from the birth control pill had sparked suspicion, but these messages confirmed a truth he wasn't ready to face. Laura, his wife of 10 years, was cheating. Worse, the pills suggested she was hiding more than an affair. Mark's fingers trembled as he scrolled through the cloned phone's data. Texts detailed meetups at a downtown hotel, coded language about safe times, and a chilling intimacy that excluded him. He's clueless, one message read. Mark's jaw clenched, anger warring with grief. He pictured Laura, her auburn hair, her warm laugh, lying to his face. Their kids, Emma and Noah, were they even his? The DNA kits he'd sent off loomed like a guillotine. He needed more proof. Confronting Laura now would let her spin a story, and Mark, ever the engineer, craved facts. He checked the hidden cameras he'd installed in their Capitol Hill home. The living room feed showed Laura reading to Emma, her voice soft. Normal. Too normal. The hallway camera caught her slipping into the bedroom, retrieving the secret phone from the vent. She typed quickly, then hit it again. Mark's stomach twisted. She was meticulous, but he was smarter. At his startup, Mark confided in Sarah, his assistant. Her hazel eyes widened as he showed her the texts. This is bad, Mark, she said, her voice steady. You're sure it's David Carter? Mark nodded, the name bitter on his tongue. Sarah, 32 and fiercely loyal, tapped her pen. You need to catch them in the act. Rachel's good, but she'll need undeniable evidence. Rachel, the divorce attorney Sarah had recommended, had urged the same. Mark agreed, but the weight of betrayal made every step feel like wading through mud. That night, Mark planted a tiny recorder in Laura's work bag, syncing it to his laptop. He added a camera in their bedroom angle to catch the vent. If Laura used that phone again, he'd have her. But a new fear gnawed at him. What if she suspected? Laura was sharp, and Mark's paranoia spiked when she glanced at him over dinner, her green eyes searching. You're quiet, she said, slicing chicken. Work stress, Mark lied, forcing a smile. Emma chattered about school, Noah smeared peas on his plate, and Laura laughed, oblivious to the storm brewing. Mark's heart ached. He loved this family, or the illusion of it. Later, in bed, Laura scrolled her main phone, her shoulder brushing his. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but he held back. Patience was his weapon. The next day, a curveball. Reviewing the bedroom footage, Mark saw Laura pause near the bookshelf camera in the living room, her brow furrowing. Had she noticed it? His pulse raced. When she left for work, he checked the device, still hidden, but his nerves jangled. Laura was careful. But was she onto him? He doubled down, cloning her secret phone again for fresh texts. A new message popped up. Meet me at the usual spot, 2 p.m. Mark checked Laura's calendar. Her client lunch was a lie. He called Sarah. I'm tailing her, Mark said, grabbing his jacket. Sarah frowned. Be careful. If she sees you, this blows up. Mark nodded, driven by a need to know. He parked near Laura's office, watching her exit at 1:45 p.m. She climbed into a sleek black car, David's. Mark followed at a distance, his hands gripping the wheel. They stopped at a boutique hotel in Belltown. Laura glanced around, then slipped inside with David, their hands brushing. Mark's vision blurred with rage, but he snapped photos, his engineer's precision overriding emotion. Back at the office, Sarah studied the images. "This is gold," she said. "But we need more. Something that ties it to your marriage." Mark agreed. He checked the recorder from Laura's bag. Snippets of her laughing with David, calling him babe. It was a knife to the gut. Then, a voicemail from the DNA lab. Results were ready, accessible online. Mark hesitated, his finger hovering over the link. Sarah touched his arm. "You need to know." He clicked. The screen loaded, and his world shattered. Neither Emma nor Noah was his. Both shared the same father, not him. Tears stung his eyes, but anger surged hotter. Laura hadn't just cheated. She'd built their life on a lie. Sarah hugged him, her voice firm. "You're not alone, Mark. We'll get through this." Her support anchored him, but the betrayal fueled his resolve. Mark met Rachel that afternoon, his evidence laid out. Texts, photos, audio. Rachel's eyes gleamed. "This is strong, but we can make it airtight. I've got a private investigator who can dig into David's life." Mark nodded, then added, "There's something else. Laura's company has a strict anti-fraternization policy. If we prove she's with her boss, they're both in trouble." Rachel grinned. "That's our leverage. Let's hit them where it hurts." The investigator, a gruff ex-cop named Tom, tailed David and Laura over the next 2 days. On May 9th, he delivered video of David entering their home with a key, Noah running to him, calling him Daddy Dave. Mark watched, his chest tight, as Emma hugged David too. The kids knew. The betrayal wasn't just Laura's. It was a family secret, and he was the outsider. Tom also found David's wife, Emily, had hired her own investigator, suspecting an affair. A new plan formed. Mark contacted Emily, meeting her at a quiet cafe. Her face, lined with worry, mirrored his. "I knew David was hiding something," she said, her voice low. "But your kids." She offered a DNA sample from David's razor, confirming he was the father. Emily's anger matched Mark's. "I want him to pay," she said. Mark nodded. "We'll make sure they both do." Back at home, Laura almost caught him. She opened the vent, checking her secret phone, as Mark pretended to fix Noah's toy nearby. "What's up?" she asked, her tone casual but sharp. Mark's heart pounded. "Just a loose screw," he said, holding her gaze. She nodded, but her eyes lingered. Did she suspect? Mark couldn't tell, but the clock was ticking. That night, Rachel outlined the next steps. Serve Laura divorce papers at her office, timed with evidence packets sent to her family and colleagues, exposing the affair. They'd sue her company for policy violations, targeting David's job. Mark felt a flicker of hope amidst the pain. Laura's lies were unraveling, but a new text on her secret phone chilled him. "He's acting weird. We need to talk." Laura was suspicious, and Mark was running out of time. As he stared at Emma and Noah sleeping, his love for them clashed with the truth. Could he let them go, or would he fight for justice first? Mark Thompson's pulse raced as he stared at the latest text on Laura's secret phone. "He's acting weird. We need to talk." It was May 10th, 2025, and the Seattle morning felt heavy with dread. Laura, his wife of 10 years, was on to him or close to it. Her affair with her boss, David Carter, had shattered Mark's world, confirmed by texts, photos, and a gut-wrenching video of their kids, Emma and Noah, calling David Daddy Dave. Worse, DNA tests proved neither child was his. Now, with Laura suspicious, Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer, had to act fast to expose her lies before she outmaneuvered him. Mark sat in his Capitol Hill home, the cloned phone hidden in his desk drawer. Laura was at work, but her text suggested she sensed his surveillance. Had she spotted the bedroom camera? The recorder in her bag? Mark's engineer's mind churned, calculating risks. He'd installed cameras in their living room, hallway, and bedroom, plus a recorder in her SUV. But her near discovery of the bookshelf camera yesterday haunted him. He needed to tighten his plan, and he needed allies. At his startup's downtown office, Mark confided in Sarah, his 32-year-old assistant. Her hazel eyes narrowed as he showed her the new text. "She's spooked," Sarah said, leaning against his desk. "If she finds your gear, she'll cover her tracks." Mark nodded, his jaw tight. Sarah had connected him with Rachel, a sharp divorce attorney who was building a case with his evidence, texts, hotel photos, and audio of Laura and David. But Rachel needed more to make it airtight, especially to leverage Laura's company's anti-fraternization policy, a rule that could cost Laura and David their jobs. Mark checked the latest camera feed. The bedroom footage showed Laura retrieving her secret phone from the vent, her movements hurried. She typed, glanced at the door, then hit it again. Mark's stomach twisted. She was paranoid. He played the SUV recorder, Laura's voice, tense, telling David, "Mark's off. We need to be careful." David's reply was muffled but smug. "He's got nothing." Mark's anger flared. They thought he was clueless, but he was closing in. Rachel called, her voice crisp. "Tom's got new footage," she said, referring to the private investigator. David used a company card for the hotel. "Sloppy. We can tie the affair to their workplace." Mark's hope flickered. "And Emily?" he asked, thinking of David's wife, who'd provided David's DNA to confirm he was the kid's father. "She's in," Rachel said. "She wants David ruined as much as you want Laura exposed." Mark met Emily at a secluded park near Lake Washington. Her face was pale, her hands clutching a coffee cup. "I've known for years," she admitted, her voice low. "But I never had proof until you called." She handed Mark a USB drive, more evidence, including David's emails to Laura pulled from his home laptop. "He thinks he's untouchable," Emily said, her eyes hard. "Let's prove him wrong." Mark nodded, their shared betrayal forging a fragile alliance. Emily's evidence was gold, but her next words stunned him. "Laura's trying to get a promotion. If we expose them now, the company will bury them both." Back at the office, Mark and Sarah reviewed the USB. The emails were damning, Laura and David planning trysts during work trips using company resources. Sarah whistled. "This violates their ethics code, not just the fraternization rule." "We've got them." Mark's resolve hardened, but a new fear hit. What if Laura struck first? Her text about him acting weird echoed. He checked the cloned phone again. A fresh message to David, "Meet me tonight. We need a plan." Mark's blood ran cold. Were they plotting against him? He called Rachel, who was already strategizing. "We served Laura divorce papers at her office," she said. "Publicly, with evidence packets to her family, friends, and colleagues. We'll sue the company for ethics violations, targeting David's position and Laura's bonus." Mark hesitated, picturing Emma and Noah. Could he destroy their mother's life? But the memory of Noah's daddy Dave steeled him. "Do it," he said. Rachel added, "Tom's digging into Laura's finances. If she's hiding assets, we'll find them." That afternoon, Mark tailed Laura again, driven by paranoia. She left work early, meeting David at a quiet bar in Pioneer Square. Mark stayed outside, snapping photos through the window. Their heads were close, Laura's hand on David's arm. Mark's chest tightened, but he noticed something odd. Laura kept checking her phone, her expression tense. Was she expecting someone? Mark scanned the street, spotting a man in a dark jacket watching the bar. Tom, the investigator? Or someone Laura hired? Mark's paranoia spiked. He texted Tom, who confirmed he was elsewhere. Who was this guy? Back home, Laura was late, claiming a team dinner. Mark played along, tucking Emma and Noah into bed. Their innocent faces broke him. How could he let them go? As Laura showered, he checked the bedroom camera. She'd moved the secret phone, now hidden in a shoebox under the bed. Mark retrieved it, his hands shaking, and cloned the latest texts. One chilled him. "If he's onto us, I'll file a restraining order. Say he's unstable." Laura was planning to paint him as the villain. Mark's anger surged, but he replaced the phone, barely avoiding detection as Laura emerged, towel-wrapped. The next day, May 11th, Tom delivered a bombshell. Laura had a secret bank account, funded by company bonuses funneled through David. "It's enough to start a new life," Tom said. "She's been planning this for years." Mark's world tilted. Laura wasn't just cheating, she was preparing to leave him, maybe with the kids. He met Rachel and Sarah at a coffee shop, laying out the new evidence. Rachel's eyes gleamed. "This is fraud. We'll add it to the lawsuit. But we need to move fast before she files that restraining order." Sarah suggested a risky move, confront David's wife, Emily, with the bank account details to ensure her cooperation. Mark agreed, meeting Emily again. She was furious, vowing to testify against David. He's been draining our savings too, she said, her voice shaking. Let's end this. Emily's commitment solidified Mark's plan, but a new text from Laura's secret phone upped the stakes. He's watching us. I saw him at the bar. We move tomorrow. Laura knew Mark was tailing her. His cover was blown. Mark's heart pounded as he drove home, the city lights blurring. Laura was steps ahead, ready to strike. He checked the cameras, nothing new, but the shoebox was empty. She'd taken the phone. Had she found the recorder too? Mark called Rachel, his voice tight. We need to serve her now. Rachel agreed, scheduling the papers for tomorrow, May 12th, at Laura's office. Evidence packets were ready, addressed to Laura's parents, siblings, and co-workers. The lawsuit against her company was filed, citing fraud and fraternization. As Mark tucked Emma and Noah in, their soft breathing calmed him. He loved them, biology be damned. But Laura's betrayal, her secret account, her plan to frame him, left no choice. He had to protect himself, his company, and his future. The mysterious man at the bar haunted him. Was Laura hiring someone to dig into him? Or was it paranoia? Mark set an alarm for 5 a.m. ready to swap camera drives before Laura woke. Tomorrow, her world would collapse just as his had. But as he lay in the dark, a final text from her secret phone lit up his screen. If he pushes, we take the kids and go. Mark's blood froze. Laura was planning to run, and he had one day to stop her. Mark Thompson's hands shook as he read Laura's final text. If he pushes, we take the kids and go. It was May 11, 2025, and the Seattle night pressed against his office window like a warning. Laura, his wife of 10 years, was planning to flee with their children, Emma and Noah, who weren't even his. DNA tests had confirmed her boss, David Carter, as their father. Her affair, her secret bank account, and now this escape plan exposed a betrayal deeper than Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer, could fathom. With Laura suspecting his surveillance, time was slipping away. Tomorrow, he'd strike. Mark paced his Capitol Hill home, the cloned phone his lifeline to Laura's lies. Her texts revealed a plot to frame him as unstable, possibly to secure a restraining order. The mysterious man he'd seen watching her at the bar, still unidentified, haunted him. Was he Laura's ally, hired to dig dirt on Mark? His engineer's mind raced, piecing together the evidence, texts, hotel photos, audio, and video of David entering their home, greeted as Daddy Dave. With Emily, David's wife, providing damning emails and DNA, Mark had enough to ruin them. But Laura's escape plan raised the stakes. She could vanish before he acted. At 5 a.m., Mark swapped the camera drives, his movements silent. Laura slept, oblivious, but her suspicion was a ticking bomb. He drove to his startup's downtown office, where Sarah, his 32-year-old assistant, waited with coffee. Her hazel eyes scanned his face. You look like hell, she said, blunt as ever. Mark showed her the text about Laura's plan. Sarah's jaw tightened. She's desperate. We need to move now. Mark nodded, his resolve ironclad. Rachel, their divorce attorney, had scheduled the papers to be served at Laura's office today, May 12th, alongside evidence packets to her family and colleagues. A lawsuit against her company for ethics and fraternization violations was filed, targeting David's job and Laura's bonus. Rachel met them at her office, her voice calm but fierce. We've got her, she said, laying out the plan. The packets include texts, emails, photos, and the DNA results. They'll hit her parents, siblings, and co-workers at 10 a.m., synced with the divorce papers. The lawsuit cites Laura's secret account and David's misuse of company funds. Their careers are toast. Mark's chest tightened. What about the kids? He asked. Rachel's eyes softened. We'll address custody later. For now, we protect you and your assets. Mark nodded, picturing Emma's drawings, Noah's laugh. He loved them, but Laura's betrayal left no room for mercy. Sarah suggested a bold move, transfer Mark's savings and home equity into his company, shielded by a prenuptial agreement. It's legal and keeps Laura from touching it, she said. Mark agreed, meeting his corporate lawyer, Brian, to execute the transfer. By 9 a.m., his finances were locked down, his startup now his fortress. Brian added, the prenup covers your shares. Laura gets nothing from the company. Mark felt a flicker of triumph, but the weight of losing his family lingered. At 9:30, Mark's phone buzzed, a text from Tom, the private investigator. Laura's at the office. Suspicious guy from the bars outside. Not mine. Mark's pulse spiked. Was Laura hiring a PI to counter him? He forwarded the text to Rachel, who replied, stay put. We're ready. Mark watched the clock, his nerves fraying. At 10 a.m., Rachel texted, papers served. A live feed from Tom's contact showed a process server entering Laura's office. Laura, mid-meeting, froze as she opened the envelope. Her face paled, colleagues whispering. The packets, delivered simultaneously, unleashed chaos. Her mother called, sobbing. Her brother texted, "How could you?" Mark imagined the office buzz, Laura's perfect facade crumbling. But Laura fought back. By noon, Rachel called, her tone urgent. "She's filed for a restraining order, claiming you're a threat. Says you've been stalking her." Mark's anger flared. "It's a lie." Rachel calmed him. "We expected this. Your evidence, cameras, texts, proves you're the victim. I've countersued for defamation and fraud." Mark exhaled, trusting Rachel's expertise. Still, Laura's move was a gut punch. She was playing dirty, and the mysterious man outside her office suggested she had help. Emily, David's wife, called next. "David's been suspended," she said, her voice steady. "The company's panicking over the lawsuit. I leaked the emails to their board." Mark admired her ruthlessness. "You're sure about testifying?" he asked. Emily laughed bitterly. "I want him homeless." Her fury mirrored Mark's, their alliance a lifeline. Emily added, "Laura called me begging to meet. She's scared." Mark's mind raced. Could he use this? He told Rachel, who grinned. "Let her meet Emily. We'll record it." That afternoon, Mark and Sarah monitored the cameras. Laura returned home, her face drawn. She grabbed the kids' backpacks, muttering, "We're leaving tonight." Mark's heart stopped. She was running. He called Rachel, who was ready. "Tom's tailing her. If she bolts, we'll alert the police for custodial interference." Mark's relief was fleeting. Emma and Noah were pawns in Laura's game. He checked the cloned phone, a text to David, "Meet me at the airport, 8 p.m. Mark forwarded it to Tom, who confirmed Laura was packing. At 6 p.m., Emily met Laura at a diner, wearing a wire. Mark listened live, his hands clenched. Laura's voice cracked. "Mark's destroying me. Help me get out." Emily played along, her tone cold. "You slept with my husband. Why should I care?" Laura pleaded, "I'll give you half my account. Just help me take the kids." Mark's blood boiled. She was bribing Emily to betray him again. Emily refused, ending the meeting. The recording was sent to Rachel, strengthening their case. By 7 p.m., Tom reported Laura at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, David with her. Mark's throat tightened. Emma and Noah were there, clutching stuffed animals. He wanted to rush to them, but Rachel stopped him. "Let the plan work." At 7:45, airport security, tipped off by Tom, detained Laura and David for questioning, citing the lawsuit and custodial concerns. The kids were placed with a social worker, safe but confused. Mark's heart broke, but he'd saved them from Laura's escape. Back at the office, Sarah hugged him. "You did it, Mark. She's done." Mark shook his head, exhausted. "Not yet." The kids, his voice cracked. Sarah's eyes softened. "You'll figure it out. You're stronger than this." Her words grounded him, but a new text from the mysterious man's number chilled him. "You won this round, Thompson. But I'm watching." Mark showed Sarah, her face paling. Who was he? Laura's ally, or something worse? As Mark prepared for the final showdown, he knew the fight wasn't over. Laura was cornered, but dangerous, and someone else was pulling strings. Mark Thompson's heart pounded as he sat in his Seattle office, the cryptic text burning into his mind. "You won this round, Thompson. But I'm watching." It was May 13th, 2025, and the mysterious man's threat lingered like a storm cloud. Yesterday, Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer, had dismantled his wife Laura's world. Her affair with her boss, David Carter, exposed through divorce papers, evidence packets, and a company lawsuit, had led to her public humiliation and a failed attempt to flee with their children. Emma and Noah children DNA tests proved weren't his. Now, with Laura detained at the airport and a new threat looming, Mark faced the final pieces of his shattered life. Mark's startup office was quiet, the city's morning hum distant. Sarah, his 32-year-old assistant, handed him coffee, her hazel eyes steady. "You okay?" she asked. Mark shook his head, showing her the text. "Who is this guy?" Sarah's brow furrowed. Laura's PI? Or David's? Mark didn't know, but the threat felt personal. Rachel, their divorce attorney, called, her voice brisk. "Laura's released, but she's not going anywhere. The judge denied her restraining order, your evidence buried her. She's at her parents' now, with the kids." Mark exhaled, relief tempered by pain. Emma and Noah were safe, but they weren't his. Rachel outlined the next steps. The company settled the lawsuit. David's fired, Laura's bonus is gone, and you're getting $750,000. Emily's testimony sealed it. Emily, David's wife, had exposed their fraud, ensuring their downfall. "And the divorce?" Mark asked. "Laura's lawyer wants to negotiate. She's got nothing, no prenup protection, no assets. You'll keep the company in-house." Mark nodded, but the victory felt hollow. The kids' faces haunted him. Could he walk away from them? Mark met Emily at a cafe, her face weary but resolute. David's moving out, she said. I'm selling the house. Thanks for giving me the push. Mark admired her strength. You gave me the DNA, he said. We're even. Emily hesitated, then added, that guy at the bar? I saw him with David's lawyer. Be careful. Mark's stomach dropped. The mysterious man was tied to David, not Laura. Was he a fixer, hired to intimidate? Mark texted Rachel, who promised to investigate. Back home, Mark packed the kids' toys, his hands trembling. The house, now his alone, felt like a tomb. He'd listed it for sale, the memories too painful. Laura's parents, once warm, had cut him off, siding with her despite the evidence. Mark didn't care, their denial couldn't erase the truth. He drove to Sarah's apartment where he'd been staying, her spare room a lifeline. Over dinner, Sarah broke the silence. You're free, Mark. What now? He stared at his plate, lost. I don't know. The kids? I raised them. But they're his. Sarah's voice softened. You're their dad in every way that matters. Don't decide yet. Her words stirred something in Mark. Hope, maybe? He'd loved Emma and Noah, biology be damned. Rachel had mentioned pro bono work to maintain visitation, a possibility he'd explore. For now he needed to rebuild. The lawsuit settlement would clear his company's debts, and his prenup had saved his startup. But the mysterious man's text gnawed at him. The next day, May 14th, Rachel uncovered the man's identity, a private investigator named Vince, hired by David's lawyer to dig into Mark. He's got nothing, Rachel said. Just trying to scare you. We filed a harassment complaint. Mark's tension eased, but Vince's threat lingered, a reminder of how far David had gone. Mark met Brian, his corporate lawyer, to finalize the company's protection. You're a paper millionaire, Brian said, grinning. Laura gets half the house sale, nothing else. Mark nodded, the financial one bittersweet. At the office, Sarah handed Mark a letter from the DNA lab confirming David's paternity again. He tossed it aside, done with the past. But a new call from Rachel shifted everything. Laura's lawyer sent a proposal, she said. She'll sign the divorce, no contest, if you don't pursue custody. Mark's chest tightened. Laura was using the kids as leverage. He pictured Emma's drawings, Noah's giggle. No deal, he said. I want visitation. Rachel agreed, scheduling a hearing. That evening, Mark visited a clinic to explore reversing his vasectomy. The doctor, calm and professional, outlined a 95% success rate. You could be a father again, he said. Tears pricked Mark's eyes, hope for a future family flickered. Back at Sarah's, he shared the news. She smiled, her eyes warm. You deserve that, Mark. Their conversation turned personal, her hand brushing his. I've been here 10 years, she said softly. I've seen you at your best. You're not alone. Mark's heart stirred. Was this more than friendship? He didn't push, but her presence grounded him. The divorce finalized on May 20th. Laura signed, relinquishing claims to the company and house, keeping only half the sale proceeds, $200,000. Mark secured visitation rights, seeing Emma and Noah weekly. They hugged him, unaware of the DNA truth, and he vowed to stay their dad. Laura, ostracized, worked a low-level job, her reputation shattered. David, divorced and jobless, moved to a small apartment, his arrogance broken. The mysterious Vince vanished, his threats empty. Mark sold the house, paid his debts, and moved into a modest condo. His company thrived, fueled by the settlement. One night, Sarah invited him to dinner, not as colleagues, but as equals. Over wine, she laughed, her guard down. We're a good team, she said. Mark smiled, feeling alive. We are. It wasn't love yet, but it was a start. As he walked home, Seattle's skyline glowed, a symbol of his redemption. Laura's betrayal had broken him, but he'd rebuilt stronger, proving trust could rise from ashes.